What's going on? Hey, this is a very special message to my fellow yellows. You guys know what I'm talking about, just in case. You know, people with eyes like this, that's what I'm talking about. I got something for you, so check it out. If you are anything like me, and by the way, if you're not yellow, still stick around because it should relate to everyone. One of the first things, number one of the things you have to know about the way I was brought up, I was an immigrant kid that immigrated here back in the 70s. Came here when I was like 3 or 4 years old from South Korea. I had a very typical Asian upbringing, you know. I was forced to play piano. I learned how to play ping pong with the Asian claw grip. Parents owned a dry cleaner. You know, typical Asian stuff, okay? And one of the things that I was brought up to do culturally, since we were immigrants, is to make sure that we do not cause confrontation, that we do not cause problems. Because back in the day, the immigrant mentality was to work really hard. They had to because we had nothing, or they had nothing. And number two is to assimilate as quickly as possible in this new world, this land of opportunity called the US of A. That was a Borat reference. That was the purpose and the point of immigration, right? So all throughout my upbringing, I was taught to stay below the radar, do not make any confrontations, don't cause trouble, always smile and say please and thank you, which is why you see a lot of Asians just, smile when they're all really uncomfortable. That was the way it was done. That was the way I was raised. Don't cause trouble, work hard, get good grades, blah, 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 blah. If there's any type of confrontation or whatever, don't go there. Your job is not to be unique. Your job is not to be special because that draws too much attention. Our job right now is to assimilate and be middle of the road and be non-confrontational. That might have served us as an immigrant family in the 70s and 80s, but I gotta tell you something, that absolutely was one of the biggest liabilities in business. And it wasn't until I graduated Cairo School and entered the business world when I realized this was not going to work. You see, if you're gonna do any type of business or provide a service or a product and you're trying to break through the marketplace, one of the things that we have learned very, very early on is that authenticity is the new currency, especially now more than ever because of the proliferation of conformity, where everyone wants to be a certain way and there's a certain standard that everyone needs to live by. That right now in today's business, your unique selling proposition needs to be unique. It has to be different. And look at us even right now on this social media channel. If you have been following us for any length of time, you should have realized that I don't give a I'm just being my authentic self. And guess what? We're doing pretty damn good. So I had to learn that very, very early on. And if you're watching this right now out there and you're running a business and you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to scale and build, maybe what's missing is your authentic self. Maybe it's a time my authentic self wants to tell my neighbor to get off that front loader. What is he doing over there? Your job is to be your authentic self, and frankly, people will like it. They will love it. You know why? Because it's different, it's unique, and it's already what sets you apart. Now, there's a plane flying overhead. Now, there is a fine balance between being your authentic, unique self and overdoing it, at the same time being very sensitive to what your people's needs, wants, and desires are. And that is the ebb and flow, that is the game, and there is a sweet spot on being your authentic self, but at the same time being very sensitive to your patients and your customers and your clients and your leads, needs, wants, and desires. And we've cracked the code on it, guys. And if you haven't figured it out right now, and if you've been hanging out with us for any length of time, I want you to take some notes here. Not only on what we're producing, but how we're doing it. And this is something that we're teaching our docs to do in their offices, in their business every single day. And again, there is a sweet spot between being your authentic self, being very sensitive to your patients and your clients and your leads, wants, needs, and desires. Okay, and I know I said this is for my fellow yellows, but I'm pretty sure aside from the yellows, there's a lot of people out there that can relate to what I'm talking about. Again, authenticity is the new currency. Be your authentic self, but at the same time, be very sensitive to your marketplace's needs, wants, and desires. If you want more tips on how to do that on a pragmatic level, this is where it's at. Like, comment, subscribe, and share, especially with your fellow yellows, for more. I'll see you later.